Hello everybody and welcome back to Exploration Mode, where today we are taking a look at the newly launched expansion for Kerbal Space Program, Breaking Ground. And as well, we've also got the new 1.7.1 patch, I think? I think this is a new patch. I don't know that for sure. I haven't played KSP in a little while, at least not with any level of rigor. I've dabbled with it a little bit since our last playthrough. However, there are 4 primary bullet points here that are the sales pitch, I guess you could say, for the Breaking Ground expansion, which is available right now for $14.99. So, let's take a quick look at these bullet points, shall we? The first one is deployed science. Scientific experiments have always gone hand in hand with space exploration and are now becoming an even greater focus in KSP. Players will be able to utilize a storage container in their craft that can hold various pieces of science equipment. Upon reaching their destination, players will need to deploy the equipment, which includes a central station, booster antenna, solar panel, weather station, active seismometer, RTG, goo observation, and ion detector. These pieces of equipment must be left out for a period of time to fully collect all of the scientific data and relay it back to Kerbin. The active seismometer in particular asks players to deliberately crash things into a celestial body to gather seismic data. So that's actually really neat. It gives you a reason to return to bodies and to have a little bit more thorough exploration than we had in our previous in our previous playthrough. I mean, the point of that was mostly just to go everywhere on a tour. It wasn't so much to collect all of the science. That said, there's a lot of good reason to do things now, and I have to wonder if they rebalanced the amount of science that you get, because that might give you too much science. I don't know. We'll have to see. I doubt we're going to see in this particular video, but let's just continue through the bullet points, shall we? The next one is surface features. A major addition with Breaking Ground is found on the celestial bodies scattered throughout the solar system. Meteors, craters, rock outcroppings, cryovolcanoes, and more now populate the landscape. While smaller surface features can be transported back to KSC by Kerbals themselves, larger ones provide a greater challenge and will require Kerbals to venture out in rovers or send unmanned rovers. By attaching the new robotic Rover arm to their rovers, players can scan the larger surface features to collect important scientific data. So once again, playing into the whole theme of having to actually go places on the body and conduct experiments, which I think is a really good direction for the game. Let me be completely clear on that. And then, of course, we've got the robotic parts. Long-requested robotics parts will now be available for use in KSP. A hinge, piston, rotor, and rotational servo in various sizes will allow players to tackle new challenge, as well as enhance the creativity of their crafts. To coincide with these new parts, the addition of a robotics controller system will let players coordinate the behavior of all the different parts on their craft. And finally, a new suit. Of course, the ever-important Kerbal fashion can never be forgotten. With Breaking Ground, players will receive a new suit that is futuristic in aesthetic and tied to the science focus of this expansion. So that's basically what they've got going on, and let's just go ahead and dive on into a sandbox game here to just take a quick look at these new parts, and also maybe this new suit. We'll have to take a look at that. So let's head into the VAB. And real quick here. So that must be robotics there, yep. Hydraulics, rotors, hinges, and servos. Interesting. You can actually change the size of the motor? Hang on. Costs 100 funds with no motor to 50 funds with maximum size motor. And that appears to be the case with all of them. You can adjust the size of the motor to whatever size you need. It's actually pretty neat. Are there any new science experiments? That would be that rover arm. The light scanning arm. And there's a large scanning arm as well. And a medium scanning arm. And what's this? Cargo. Hello. a container module. It's not pressurized, and it can take 9 inventory slots, whatever that means. There's also a cargo storage unit here. Presumably, you can then, like, slot experiments and solar panels and such into it. Okay, so let's take a quick look at this guy here. Ah. Okay, and then we can put in the experiment control station. Weather analyzer, ionographer, ionographer? Probably ionographer. There's an RTG, photovoltaic panel, passive seismometer, ED monitor. Oh, goo. Okay. And a communitron. So we would put a communitron, like, here? Yeah, that's how you do it. So you just right-click on the module to open up the inventory here, and then you can slot this into the inventory. That's pretty neat, actually. So then we could put, like, a pair of a photovoltaic panel there. Power units produced 1. Power units required 1. That is not very much power produced by a photovoltaic panel. So we would need, like, at least 2 photovoltaic panels. So we're currently at, what, +1 power, unless this provides any power? I don't think it does. So we'd probably guaranteed need an experiment control station. Like that. And then, like, a weather analyzer, and we're now at, I think we're at -1 power right now. So if you want to have everything, that would be -2 power. Yeah, we would need a seismometer here. So we're still going to be at a net of -1 power here. If I'm understanding this correctly. Because let's see here. This takes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we generate 4. Theoretically. Oh wait, I put an extra seismometer in here. I meant to do a photovoltaic panel. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and place on top of this not a Mark II, a Mark I command pod. And then we're just gonna go ahead and launch this. Yes, it has no command modules. I guess I didn't automatically put Jeb in there. There we go. Okay, so let's see what exactly this ends up doing here. So my primary goal with this mission is to just deploy this, if I can. How do I do this? I'm pretty sure that's just a texture. Yeah, that's just a texture. So how do I actually... Do I need to EVA? And have the Kerbal actually do it? The Kerbal now has an inventory as well. Does a surface sample count as inventory? Does not. Interesting. Okay. So... we can put it into the Kerbal inventory. And then the Kerbal can wander over here. Oh. The Kerbal can then place it on the ground. That's interesting. That is very interesting. So then we can place it here. And then we've got ourselves this guy. and our experiment control station is now online. It would appear. We can disable it or pick it up. So I'm assuming we'd be able to deploy it with a rover as well if we had one. Interesting. So then the Communitron can go over here, and then we can place it over here. I'm assuming we wouldn't want to place it too close to the rocket because I'm assuming it's physics enabled-ish? I noticed it fell, so it's at least affected by gravity. Okay, so you gotta click on the little drop icon there. And then we've got our Communitron here. Assuming that, yep, there it goes. It's activating now. And power state unpowered for both of these. Correct? Correct. So, comm signal of 0. If we disable the Communitron, yeah, I'm guessing we actually do need the Communitron here. Okay, let's go grab some power. So a photovoltaic panel, there we go. And again, I'm assuming that we'll be able to deploy these with rovers as well. You just need like the grabbing arm or something. Okay, so there's the panel. So we can create these like mini outposts. I actually like this a lot. This is pretty neat. So we're now producing a unit of power. And this also means that if we don't produce enough power, we can always just send a second mission with more RTGs or panels. So which of these is currently powered? Looks like the experiment control station has priority on the power. Oh, total power needed 2. Total power available 1. I did not realize that. Okay. Well, let's go grab another photovoltaic panel. It's kind of awkward that the Kerbal can only hold one at a time, but, I mean, that makes sense given the size. And we'll drop this photovoltaic panel right about there. And once that deploys, we should have enough power to power something. And no, we're probably not going to get off of Kerbin. I'm just experimenting with these new mechanics, seeing how exactly they end up working. So we are now connected with our Communitron. Total power needed 2. So the experiment control station only needs 1, but we need 2 because of the Communitron. I gotcha. Okay, so let's get another power unit deployed. How many more do we have here? 2? Okay. Let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this one right over here. And while we're at it, I'm gonna go grab that other one too. This photovoltaic panel. There we go. And we will place that right about there. It's a 20-meter radius that we can set this up in, from what I can tell, at least according to the experimental control station. And I'm not sure how much of this, or how much science it's going to cost to get these things, but again, I think that more of a focus on science is a good thing. So let's get our weather analyzer in here. And I'm just going to place that right about there. And we should have the power to run this experiment. Maybe we have to do it from the control panel? Or maybe it needs time to collect the data, and it will just automatically transfer it back. Science rate is 5%, science completed 0%, science transmitted 0%. Okay, it is producing science per hour. Fascinating. I'm assuming it works while you're time warping. I should hope so. We'll test that in just a moment. But first, I want to get this passive seismometer out. Actually, let's do the goo. I'm not planning on crashing anything into into Kerbin at any time soon. So let's just go ahead and place the goo. Right here should work. Theoretically. Yeah. So now it's working as well. How is our power doing? I think we might be a little short on power. Yeah, we're at exactly our power level needed. And it looks like we do need to maintain the Communitron being online. So it looks like it has been specifically designed that if you want to use everything here, then you're going to have to take 2 trips. That said, it's maybe not a bad thing because the seismometer wants you to crash things into the world, right? So you bring that first, and then you bring like a drop pod with additional modules, and then you crash bits of that in to grab your seismometer data. That could work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of time warping here. It does not work while time warping. That's very awkward. What about physics warping? It doesn't even work while physics warping. Ooh, that's weird. I don't know about that. I mean, it's kind of a long-term thing, right? You're supposed to just leave it there for long-term data collection. And as far as how little science we're getting from this, I mean, that's kind of expected considering we're at the launch pad, right? Well, let's go ahead and deploy the seismometer. Now, I realize that we're probably going to overload our power here, but I want to see what happens. I'm just going to place that right there. And yeah, we're at low voltage right now. So I'm assuming things just work at lower effectiveness. Oh, the weather analyzer is currently unpowered, as is the seismometer. Okay, all of the experiments are unpowered. So we're going to need to go ahead and disable this part. Okay. And now we should be powered. Yeah. So we're going to need to go ahead and hop back in. And I'm going to try recovering this flight. Oh, come on. You know you want to, Jib. Get in, Jib. There we go. Okay, I'm going to try recovering this flight and see if all of this stuff remains. It should, right? Theoretically. But we're, you know, at the same location, so it may not. Looks like the central station did indeed remain. Okay, so, I mean, the only thing we're particularly interested in having in this container module is a photovoltaic panel, although maybe we'll use an RTG instead. What's the cost difference between an RTG and a photovoltaic panel? I'm assuming the RTG is more expensive because it's more reliable since they produce the same amount of power. Yeah, the RTG on its own costs 10k versus the 300 for the photovoltaic panel, but we'll give it a go. And we don't need any of these other things. Okay. I also want to check the robotic arm to see if it has an inventory slot. It does not. Maybe we would be able to place it inside of one of these. Okay, so that has 3 inventory slots. That's interesting. And can we deploy these in space? Like, we can deploy them in vacuum, sure, but can we deploy them in actual, like, space? Oh. That counts as on the launch pad. That's awkward. Well, I mean, realistically, we wouldn't deploy it on the launch pad, right? So, that's not that big of a deal. But if we were to deploy this, we would lose all of our things that we deployed over there. Or just the seismometer? Just the seismometer, maybe. We'll bring a new one. I mean, it's a sandbox game, so I'm not too concerned. No, it destroyed the whole thing. Okay, well, that's a little bit of a taste of the new science, so let's go ahead and recover this again and create ourselves a quick rover here. I want to check really fast up in the VAB. We'll just ditch all of this. I want to check how exactly we go about deploying things from a rover. So let's go to command and control, blah, blah, blah. I want the rover base, which I can't remember where it is. Structural? No, it's under command modules or pods, last I knew. Here it is, the rovemate. Okay, let's go ahead and rotate this about like so. Should be fine. And I'm not too concerned about making this amazingly robust or anything. I'm just going to go ahead and add in some wheels. Those are too big of wheels. Those are way too big of wheels. Are those too big? I don't think they're too big. So let's go ahead and... Oof. That's awkward. That's very awkward. I blame the fact that we're doing it in the VAB. Let's do this in the spaceplane hangar. Okay, let's try this again. That seems a little better, just off the ground. Let's see here. It does require electric charge, of course. And I mean, it might have worked in the rocket, or rather the VAB, if I had put it into radial symmetry. But I didn't, so it's fine. We're just going to do that, and then let's go ahead and place on here a couple of couple of Gigantors. Oh, that's way overkill. No, we'll just go for... That's way overkill too. We'll just go for this. There we go. And then we'll just put on like a pair of batteries on the back. We don't need it to last super long, but being able to recharge would be super nice. So I'm not... Well, we probably are going to want to have the robotic arm on some robotics, right? But for right now, let's go ahead and just put on a light scanning arm. Okay, so that gets put on rather like the Curiosity rover, like that, and then we can preview the scanning range. Okay. Interesting. So how can we deploy experiments from this, or can we not deploy experiments from this? I have no idea, but let's go ahead and put a cargo storage unit on here. I'm just going to rotate it so that it is as awkward as possible. There we go. That's nice and awkward. What could possibly go wrong? And we're just going to put an experiment control station in there, along with a photovoltaic panel and a communitron. I have to wonder, what's the point of the 3 inventory slots? There's nothing that you can do to power even a single experiment with this, because you need the control station, you need the communitron, and you need at least 3 photovoltaic panels to power a single experiment. I don't know. Maybe this is supposed to just be like supplementary storage, but for right now, this should be okay. So let's just go ahead and launch this as is. And we're just going to see if we can figure out how to actually deploy these. Okay, so here we are. Oh my, we have a lot of speed. I'm just going to go ahead and turn on the brakes here. There we go. So the robotic arm cannot actually be used to deploy, which I kind of thought as much. No target in range for scanning. So how do we deploy these from a rover? Can we? I don't know. I guess we'll revert back to the spaceplane hangar and see if we can figure it out. So, I mean, we can use the rover to scan surface features, but I'm not sure that we can use it to deploy these experiments. Which I'm okay with, kind of, although it'd be nice if there was, like, a robotic way to do it. But, for example, like, we could theoretically put, like, the robotic arm on a hinge or something. That's way too big of a hinge. I mean, I'm not really very in a good mindset to do this right now, but like theoretically that. And then we can we set the target angle? Yes, we can. So then we could have it be able to like do that so that it can scan further ahead over here and clip through absolutely everything. But that's something that we can do. But for right now, I think this is a decent place to leave it. I think we have pretty well determined that there isn't really a way to drop these experiments from a rover. So that gives you a very, very good reason to actually put boots on the ground on the other celestial bodies. And I like that a lot, because I didn't really have a reason to do that before other than to just say I did. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. The current expansion, the Breaking Ground, is currently available on Steam for $14.99, and as far as value propositions go, it kind of depends on whether you're super into KSP like I am, or not, I suppose. So as usual, I will leave that up to you, and I will see you all next time.